In the frozen lands of Manchuria during World War II, a secret facility operated in complete silence. It was known as Unit 731. To the outside world, it did not officially exist, but behind its sealed doors, a different kind of war was being fought. A war against humanity itself. Unit 731 was a top-secret biological and chemical warfare research division of the Imperial Japanese Army. It was led by Shirashia, a military doctor driven by ambition to develop the most powerful biological weapons in history. But what began as scientific research soon turned into something far darker. Prisoners were brought into the facility in secret. They were given no names, only numbers. They were cadet, maruta, meaning logs. Because to the scientist, they were no longer seen as human beings. They were materials for experimentation. Inside the facility, unimaginable experiments were carried out. In freezing conditions, prisoners were exposed to extreme cold until their limbs froze completely. Scientists would then break the frozen limbs or warm them suddenly to study tissue damage and survival reactions. Other prisoners were deliberately infected with deadly diseases such as plague, anthrax, cholera, and syphilis. There was no treatment, no medicine, and no chance of survival. The purpose was to observe how quickly the human body would collapse under infection. Some of the most disturbing experiments involved live dissection without anesthesia. Victims were cut open while still alive so that scientists could study organs, infections, and the effects of injuries in real time. Every moment was recorded as scientific data. Unit 731 also developed and tested biological weapons. Infected fleas were released over villages, and contaminated bombs were used to spread disease in populated areas. Entire communities outside the laboratory became unknowing test subjects in this hidden war. For decades, the truth remained buried. After World War II ended, many of the scientists involved were not prosecuted. Instead, some were granted immunity in exchange for handing over their research data. Documents, photographs, and reports were quietly absorbed by powerful nations, and the full story remained hidden from the public for years. When the truth finally began to surface, it shocked the world. Survivors and historians confirmed the scale of the atrocities, and Unit 731 became one of the most infamous examples of human experimentation in history. But beyond the horror, it left a lasting question for humanity. How far can science go before it loses its morality? Unit 731 is not just a story from the past. It is a warning. A reminder that when knowledge is separated from ethics, even science can become a tool of destruction. During the Cold War, when the world was divided between superpowers, a hidden program was quietly taking place inside the United States. It was called MKUltra. On the surface, it was described as a research project on behavior and interrogation techniques. But in reality, it became one of the most controversial and secretive mind control experiments in history. The program was run by the CIA with one goal in mind: to discover whether the human mind could be controlled, manipulated, or completely broken. To achieve this, experiments were conducted on unsuspecting individuals, ordinary citizens, prisoners, hospital patients, and even military personnel were exposed to powerful psychoactive drugs, including LSD, often without their knowledge or consent. Some subjects were given repeated doses of drugs for days or weeks. Others were subjected to sensory deprivation, isolation, sleep disruption, hypnosis, and psychological torture techniques designed to break down identity and control behavior. In some cases, individuals were not even aware they were part of an experiment. Their reactions, emotions, and mental states were recorded and analyzed as data. The idea behind MKUltra was not just to study the mind, but to see if it could be influenced, rewritten, or controlled like a machine. Scientists involved attempted to explore whether memory could be erased, personalities could be altered, or obedience could be forced under chemical influence. But as the experiments continued, many subjects experienced severe psychological trauma. Hallucinations, paranoia, memory loss, and long-term mental health damage became common outcomes. For years, the program remained hidden under layers of secrecy. Official records were classified, and much of the evidence was destroyed in an attempt to erase its existence. However, in the 1970s, fragments of the truth began to surface through government investigations and leaked documents. What was revealed shocked the public. MKUltra had operated 4 years with minimal oversight, involving hundreds of experiments across different institutions. Although the program was eventually shut down, the damage had already been done, and many questions remained unanswered. Who was affected? How many experiments were never recorded? And how far did the research actually go? MKUltra became one of the most infamous examples of government secrecy and unethical experimentation in modern history. It left behind a disturbing question. If the human mind can be influenced so deeply, where does free will truly begin, and where does control end?